So right now in the Philippine aroid community, a lot of my friends are yelling, it's aroid season. You see a whole bunch of these posts right now because it is rainy season here in the Philippines. It's been raining every single night, and I'm telling you, my aroids are enjoying it. They are just flourishing. But not many people realize that it's also Kaempferia season, and my gingers are also living their best lives right now as well. So come along with me and let's go check out what's going on with my gingers and Kaempferias. Hi everyone, it's Melissa, your plantita abogada here at Tasteful Notes, coming to you today with a Kaempferia episode. So today we're going to be talking about the captivating Kaempferia. Yeah, just need to get that in, right? What makes them grow? How to care for them? Yeah, these spectacular plants are in season right now, and I figured it would be a good time to make a video about them. However, before we get into that, let's go run through my 3 disclaimers really quickly. 1, KKB tayo, kanya-kanyang bayad. For my Westerner friends, it means we each pay our own way. We want to pay our rent, and we don't want collections coming after us because we started our collection of Kaempferias, okay? Let's be responsible adults here. Second, I'm a lawyer by training, and I'm a hobbyist just like you guys. Any factual information that I do find, I'll be sure to put the source of the information at the bottom of the screen. And then thirdly, because I'm not an expert and because we all live in different parts of the world, I think it's really important for you to find people in your area who have grown these plants, who can tell you what the growing conditions are in your area, where to find them, how much they go for. And I guess, you know, they could give you specialized information as to how to care for these plants in your area. Now, with those 3 out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in, shall we? So Kaempferias are natives of subtropical and tropical Asia. These plants are natives of Bangladesh, Borneo, Cambodia, China, India, Indonesia, Laos, Myanmar, Nepal, Philippines, Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam. Kaempferias are also known as peacock gingers, and it's kind of self-explanatory why, right? Because some of the leaves actually have patterns that look like patterns on peacock feathers. Really lovely to look at. However, this name is a little limiting in terms of the 63 different species of Kaempferias that are out there, which is why I really don't like calling Kaempferias peacock gingers necessarily. I get the name, but just because there are a whole bunch of different kinds of Kaempferias, it's probably best to just refer to them as Kaempferia rather than peacock ginger. So while peacock ginger may be a little misleading, the ginger part isn't. They are part of the ginger family, and if you look at other ginger plants, I mean, they are quite wide-ranging in terms of patterns and leaves. So Kaempferias actually have a dizzying variety of leaf broadness and leaf size and leaf patterns. And guess what? They also have variegations too. Kaempferias are named after naturalist Engelbert Kaempfer, and he lived in Japan in the 1600s, and he documented a whole bunch of plants while he stayed there. I would argue that the most famous Kaempferia outside of the peacock ginger patterns would be the Kaempferia galangal. And I just say that because galangal ginger, anyone? If you cook or if you like to eat Asian food, I'm sure you're probably familiar with galangal ginger. However, Kaempferia galangal, while it is used for cooking and for medicinal purposes, it's not the exact same galangal that is used in cooking the Thai dishes that you're familiar with. That galangal ginger is known as lengquas here in the Philippines. We cultivate them here too. Thank you, Localpedia, for sharing that information. Now, this lengquas is actually the galangal ginger that is used in a lot of Asian food that we're familiar with. That lengquas or that galangal ginger should not be confused for the Kaempferia galangal because it actually belongs to the Alpinia family and not the Kaempferia family. That's your tidbit for the day, I guess. One of the most fascinating things about ginger that I've noticed is that they grow underground. and they have a network underground, and it's pretty awesome because you get surprise plants come rainy season when conditions are moist. They're kind of like caladiums in that aspect where, you know, when it's not moist season, they'll disappear back into the earth only to reappear again when conditions are favorable to them. So for people who buy these plants, if they die on you, I wouldn't necessarily throw the potting media out, and I wouldn't mix it with anything else, because you might actually have Kaempferia that grow into pots with other plants. That's how they do. So in addition to it growing underground and spreading underground, instead of the really large gingers that you see, they stay close to the ground. The leaves and the rest of the bodies stay really close to the ground, making them a really, I guess, interesting and manageable indoor plant. Before we continue, I'll probably go ahead and run through this really quick, because I'm sure you guys are wondering what kind of Kaempferias I have here. We have 5 on the table. Kaempferia pulchra, from the Latin word pulchrum meaning beautiful, has a native range from Thailand to Malaysia. Its flowers are bilobed and violet. This is one of my oldest Kaempferias, but I'm not sure which one came first between the pulchra and the next Kaempferia I'm about to introduce. The second Kaempferia on the table is Kaempferia gilbertii. It is a native of Myanmar. Gilbertii flowers, like the pulchra's flowers, are bilobed. However, its colors are white and violet. This has also been with me for a while. Whichever one I got first, I got it in 2018, and both of these Kaempferias come and go with the seasons. The third and fourth Kaempferias are variegated. They only come with market names at the moment, so I'll try my best to describe them. This is what is being sold as Kaempferia red. Kaempferia red, as the name implies, has red leaves. It also has quite a few other colors in its leaves, like dark green, light green, perhaps a dark blue or black, and its leaves are striated. In comparison to the Kaempferia red, Kaempferia rainbow is also a red-leafed Kaempferia. There are many different colors on its leaves as well. However, unlike Kaempferia red striated leaves, Kaempferia rainbow appears to have speckled leaves. I can't comment to the flowers of either Kaempferia, but we'll share those updates on Instagram as soon as those flowers become available. Finally, I have Cornucaempferia aurantiflora. This looks like a peacock ginger, but it's not exactly a Kaempferia. The 7 species of Cornucaempferia are related to Kaempferia, but here are their key differences: labellum, flower color, and bracteoles. The labellum, meaning little lip, is usually the lower petal of an orchid or other lesser-known genera flower, whereas the labellum of the Kaempferia is usually deeply lobed, making the flower appear kind of like a 4-leaf clover. The labellum of the Cornucaempferia is bell-shaped, kind of like a dancing lady orchid or a slipper orchid's labellum. Kaempferia flowers are typically white or violet, or white and violet, whereas Cornucaempferia flowers are yellowish-orange. Finally, Kaempferias exhibit bifid bracteoles, whereas Cornucaempferias do not have bracteoles. And it's just a gorgeous specimen. I was really bummed out because I thought it died over the summer. It had this big, huge bulb, and the big, huge bulb disappeared. And I kept it dry, like they say online, you know, keep it dry, don't water it. But the bulb disappeared, and it was huge. It was yay big, right? But it came back this rainy season, and I really have to pot it because a lot of the media that was in its cup, hey, I know it's a Macau Imperial teacup, but we reduce, reuse, and recycle here in the Philippines, okay? And it's got a lot of holes in it, in the pot, so I left it alone, and it didn't turn out too well. However, remember what I said about how it grows underground and it spreads underground? So the big bulb disappeared. But let me see if I could get this out for you, just for the sake of showing everyone. So while the big bulb disappeared, there are multiple little small bulbs that remain, right? And these are called rhizomes. So the big bulb disappeared, but the rhizomes continued. They continued on. And look at that nice fat roots. And if you look even further in, right here, there we go. This big chunky root. I suspect that in all of this potting media, we actually have another rhizome growing just because it's a chunky root. It's a chunky boy root. A big bulb died, but the remaining rhizomes grew this beautiful plant. So we're going to take care of this immediately. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and discuss care really quick. So this guy is from my friend Bocci at NVC House of Rare Foliage. And when he sent this to me, he sent it to me in June. It was still really, really hot here. He's got his garden set up in a way that a lot of these plants have shade as well. As with most of my other gingers, including your regular cooking ginger, I keep them in shaded areas. So we grow our gingers under trees. These guys are no different. These guys all live under a mango tree. In fact, you kind of see it right in there in the back. It's that big giant mango tree. It was planted there in the 70s, so a 50-year-old mango tree. This 50-year-old mango tree has a really wide spread of branches on top, and it just covers a whole bunch of area. And that's where I keep these guys. This guy has been there the longest. He's been there for a year. These two grew in my husband's greenhouse. This one was on top of a table, so he was exposed to more light. This guy was underneath the table, so he wasn't as exposed. And this is really important. These guys don't like being exposed to bright direct sunlight. They won't. Their leaves burn. If you give them shadier conditions, better. They prefer that kind of lighting anyway. And that's why when you're in the wild, you see them on forest floors, just because those are the kind of conditions that they actually grow best in. So don't worry about lesser lighting for them. Bright indirect sunlight will probably do, but no direct sunlight for these guys, none, okay? As far as media is concerned, potting mix. A lot of my plants here are grown in soil, right? Yeah, so I just keep things organic here in my garden. You'll see some pumice, but that's just because I also use aeroid mix, just because these guys are thirsty little buggers, and that's fine with them too. Bocci's media is a bit more organic than mine. So this is a lot of cocoa coir, if you look at it, and it's working beautifully. When he sent it to me, it was, gosh, I think we were still in the hundreds here, 100-degree Fahrenheit here in the Philippines. So what he did is he put them both in a large Ziploc bag to keep the moisture in, keep the humidity up. And that's how he sent it. And that's it. And it worked out really well, as you can tell here. Potting media, they do like organic stuff, but they do like stuff that drains. So don't put them in mud. We don't like mud. Mud is hard to drain water from. Keep them in organic stuff. I'm guessing maybe orchid mix might work with these guys too, although that might be a little light. You might have to supplement it. But yeah, organic stuff is good as long as it is light and well draining. Okay, so we went through lighting, we went through potting media, watering. What I have observed with my Kaempferia, they like having moist roots. They like having their media moist. They don't like being treated like colocaceas sitting in water. No. What you do have to remember is that we water during growing season, and growing season takes place whenever things become moist in your area. Okay, I don't like saying spring, summer, winter, or fall because all of our climates are different. I'll just break it down based on dry and wet, okay? When things are moist, Kaempferias will grow. See, and that's what they're doing. That's why I said earlier, it's Kaempferia season, yay! However, when things start to dry up, they'll go dormant. And for us here in the Philippines, dormancy takes place when our dry season comes along. And that's typically, gosh, maybe March, February. Actually, it was February this year. It was horrendous. It got hot super early. It doesn't normally get that hot. But as soon as it got hot, things started drying up. When I lived in the US, you know, we had April showers, we had some rain in February and March, and then came 4th of July, it was super hot already. Yeah. So See how our temperatures and our climates differ. When your Kaempferia goes dormant, you can do one of two things. You could just let it be and let it dry, or you could go ahead and remove it, which I've heard some people do that. They remove them like they remove bulbs and they store them, but it scares me and I don't know how to do that, so I don't. Luckily for me, during dry season we barely get any rain, so there really isn't any fear that it's gonna die while it's in the ground. During growing season, I guess you could check to see that the first inch is moist. If it is no longer moist, I would go ahead and give them a quick water, let it drain, and then put them back in their spot in your home. Easy. So remember, we water during growing season, and that's when your climate is moist in your area. Okay, fantastic. So in closing, yay for Kaempferia season. I would definitely recommend these plants for people who want a touch of the exotic, you know, something that you don't see every day. Somebody who doesn't mind observing their plant just to make sure that they've got the right watering, the right media, the right lighting. I mean, they are a little bit more work than, let's say, a Sansevieria, but they are beautiful additions, and I guess tropical additions to any collection, indoor or outdoor. And that is it for this episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, feel free to give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, click that little notification bell so that you get notified of any future content I post. If there's anything that you want to see in particular, plant-wise, feel free to tell me down in the comment section below. I'm on Facebook. I'm there as Tasteful Nodes. But if you just want to scroll through pretty pictures right before you go to bed, check me out on Instagram. I'm there as Tasteful Nodes as well. Okay guys, until next time, sa uulitin, keep your notes classy and tasteful. Bye.